Welcome to BWC News. I am Elizabeth. Chinese semiconductor companies have to compete with global competitors who want to buy equipment from other countries, Peter Wennink said in an interview with Bloomberg News at ASML's headquarters in the Netherlands on Wednesday, according to Bloomberg. If they can't buy it, they will develop it themselves. It will take time, but eventually they will get there. As previously reported, the Netherlands and Japan are close to joining the Biden administration-led effort to curb technology exports to China, and ASML could face more restrictions on sales to Chinese customers. Peter Wennink said, "The more pressure you put on China, the more likely they are to redouble their efforts to build lithography that is comparable to ASML's." Last month, China filed a lawsuit at the WTO to try to overturn export controls imposed on it by the United States. Beijing says the restrictions threaten the stability of the global supply chain and that the U.S. national security case is unconvincing. At the same time, China is reported to be suspending high subsidies to its chip industry and instead seeking to support it in other ways because of the coronary disease epidemic that is constraining government finances. The U.S. not only restricts exports of U.S.-made chip equipment to China, but also prevents U.S. citizens from working for Chinese chip equipment manufacturers. Speaking about the negative impact of U.S. export control measures, Peter Wennink said that the U.S. personnel restrictions announced last October create all kinds of problems for individuals and companies, and it's definitely not something to be happy about. In general, he said, export controls will create a degree of disruption that will affect efficiency and innovation and affect us all. On October 7 last year, without any prior warning, the U.S. Department of Commerce imposed the broadest restrictions ever on chip-related exports to China. In addition to banning the export of advanced chips, technology and equipment, it also prohibited U.S. persons from supporting the research, development, or production of advanced chips in Chinese companies without permission. In order to fully suppress the Chinese chip industry, the U.S. is also pressuring the Netherlands to adopt the same export control measures as the U.S. on chip equipment. Schreiner Maar said in November last year that the Netherlands would not follow the example of the United States, and the United States should not expect the Netherlands to follow its practice of restricting China in the semiconductor. Later, Schreiner Maar added emphatically, "It is important that we defend our interests, including our national security, but also our economic interests." Peter Wennink, CEO of ASML, questioned the U.S. double-standard approach in an interview last December. Peter Wennink said ASML has lost enough by not exporting the latest technology to China. On January 15 this year, Dutch Minister of Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation Schreiner Maar said on a TV show in the country that the Netherlands would not hastily accept new restrictions imposed by the United States on the export of chip manufacturing technology to China. The Netherlands resist the U.S. ban on semiconductor exports to China. ASML exports to China is not affected for the time being. However, sources said that in the face of U.S. pressure, the Netherlands can hold up for how long it is worth doubting. The Netherlands may join the ranks of the U.S. export restrictions on China with Japan, although they will not accept it as is, but will increase the export restrictions on China. According to Singapore's United Morning Post, reported on the 26th, the Dutch lithography giant ASML Holdings said that the U.S. export ban on China's semiconductor exports currently does not affect the company's exports to China, and expects that customer demand will remain strong in 2023 as China's economy recovers after the easing of anti-epidemic measures. Last October, Washington issued a ban that did not allow U.S. companies to sell chip-making equipment to China. U.S. officials have said they hope the Netherlands will follow the U.S. lead and prevent China from acquiring manufacturing equipment for high-end chips. China has criticized these U.S. practices as an attack on free trade and has filed a lawsuit with the WTO to that effect. Dutch Minister of Foreign Trade and Development Cooperation Schreiner Maar recently said at the Davos Forum meeting that the Netherlands will not hastily accept the U.S. regulations. She said, "I know there is a lot of international pressure, but I will work for open trade and against protectionism." ASML is the world's foremost manufacturer of chip manufacturing equipment, with more than 60% of the world's lithography market share, and is the only manufacturer in the world capable of supplying the extreme ultraviolet lithography needed for chips at 7 nanometers and below. China is an important market for the company, which generates about 15% of its sales there. ASML exports to China mainly for the production of DUV lithography machines above 7 nanometers. It's unclear what the new restrictions will mean for ASML's sales to China. Officials are still discussing the details, but the step could effectively block exports of the company's immersion lithography machines, its most advanced equipment, to Chinese customers who use them in combination with tools from other suppliers to make 14 nanometers or more advanced chips.